Weather Center, I'm Kevin Snyder.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 24 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Today is Monday, January 27th, 2014. The date is important if you want to participate in the next program because it is an opportunity for you to speak to Congressman Rich Nugent. He's on the phone right now. If your calendar shows that you are in January 27th, 2014, then you're listening to a live broadcast. U.S. Representative Richard Nugent on the air to answer your questions about what the heck is going on up in Congress. And let me just let him speak. Good morning, Congressman. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Larry?
Pretty good. Yeah, so many things in the news this morning. One about the congressman in South Florida resigning, Radel. Is that how you say his name?
Radel.
Trey Radel.
Trey Radel.
It says he will resign after the cocaine conviction.
Right.
And then there was a news item from you, actually, that the current law clearly isn't enough to protect Americans' privacy.
Absolutely.
And that's the NSA story?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's hear some of that, and then we'll go to the phones.
Okay. Well, first on Trey, I think he did the right thing. Personally, he came in to see me here a week or so ago, and I advised him that's exactly what he should do. It's always better when you make a huge mistake like he made, is you control it, you sign, and you don't bloody up everybody else that it was his mistake. He absolutely did it and pled guilty to it. Lucky that it was in Washington, D.C., because it was only a misdemeanor. Had it been in Florida, it'd have been a felony.
Oh, so, wow. Really? Wow.
Oh, yeah. Any other state in the union would have been, any state in the union would have been a felony, but only in Washington, D.C., it's a misdemeanor. So, I feel, obviously bad for his wife and child. He made those decisions to do what he did. So I wish him the best, as he moves forward, and hopefully he can get his life back on track and get away from the addiction, and which would be, great for his family. And lastly, you mentioned about this legislation that we dropped right before we came home a week ago, and that's absolutely about NSA, and it's about restricting their ability to collect metadata as it relates to American citizens here at home. When you look at everything that the NSA's done, it's they've done it, and it's been ruled as being legal by district courts and appellate courts in the United States. So the only way to fix it is to change the enabling legislation.
Right.
And that is exactly what we're proposing. And it's not, it has nothing to do with what goes on overseas as it relates to, trying to track bad guys. But it has everything to do with American citizens on American soil that we follow what I believe is a constitutional mandate that you get a warrant for that type of information.
Yeah. And as a law enforcement officer yourself, you understand that. That's so perfect.
Well, absolutely. Would have been easy if you could just, get all the information you want without having a warrant? Sure. But is it the right thing to do? Absolutely not.
Yeah. So it's called the American Privacy Protection Act?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And does what you're battling stem from the Patriot Act, or is it something different?
Well, it's the interpretation of the Patriot Act that has, I think, got us in the jam that we are. The Patriot Act obviously was a reaction to what occurred on 9/11 and the Commission's report. The Patriot Act came to being. But what's happened is it was so loosely written that the courts will interpret if it's loosely written. The courts are going to interpret it that it's okay to do certain things that I think are wrong. And like I said, massive data collection on American citizens. I don't know too many people that think that's a great way to go.
Yeah, really. Okay, and hopefully you have a lot of support behind that. Today is January 27th, 2014. If that's the same date on your calendar, you're listening to a live show. The phone number to call Congressman Nugent right now is 622-9622, and you do have a call waiting. Good morning. Thank you for being patient with us. You're on the air with Congressman Richard Nugent.
Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning, Sonny.
You know, I'm still very disappointed with what's going on with the Republican Party and the so-called conservatives. One was just mentioned this morning was about Rand Paul and some of the other Republicans talking about a new immigration law. Wait a minute. Let's back up a few years. You still have an immigration law on the books, except the Republicans and the Democrats threw this bill under the bus after they legalized 11 million illegals in 1986. You know, the part of the bill that said to stop all immigration until you find out who's in this country and who shouldn't be. The part of the bill that says we are to secure our borders, ports, and terminals. The other part of the bill is to go after all the various visas, and more importantly, the enforcement of the visas as how they are written. I can't comprehend how you can place another bill on top of an existing bill. That's just for openers, and I honestly believe that there are two standards used in Washington, one for the Republican Party and the other for the Democrats. Because here something comes up. I'm not condoning anything. I'm not trying to say anything is good when it's bad. But the Republicans seem to be held to a harder, tougher, higher standard than the Democrats, and it's consistently been played over the years, i.e. Rangel, or the Democrat senator from Florida here, the case with underage sex scandal using another country, Martinez, or it begins with an M, I can't forget what it is. But these people are still in office. Maxine Waters, a prime example.
I know.
And, of course, we had the other two stars. They all of a sudden retired a couple of years now. Dodd and Frank. Hello. Banking bills. I mean, this is ridiculous what's going on here. When does Washington start representing the American people and this country instead of putting the Sudan first or Mogadishu or whatever the heck that is over there, or Afghanistan? We don't belong in Afghanistan anymore. We finally got Osama bin Laden. Hello, let's leave.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I don't disagree with you on that.
I'll hang up and listen to your reply.
Thanks, Sonny.
All right. Very good. Congressman, did you want to reply to that?
Yeah, I mean, I only have control over, obviously, myself and my vote, and I get as frustrated as Sonny does as it relates to, you know, what Republicans are supposed to stand for. You know, it is absolutely frustrating, and I can hear frustration in Sonny's voice. But, you know, all I can speak for is, you know, Rick Nugent and what I do and what I stand for. You know, and I think if you look at my votes, you can see that I'm really consistent in support of our veterans, but in support of America and the day. It is. I don't know. You have Democrats and Republicans. He brought up, you know, the point that Republicans seem to be held to a higher standard. That's probably true within the media as it relates to, you know, they love to point out any flaw within Republicans, but not so much when it relates particularly to this president. They certainly don't, I think, hold him accountable to things that I would think other Republican presidents would have done, it doesn't seem to gain the same media attention or outrage. So, I mean, everything that you look at, and something was right on immigration. I mean, we have immigration laws on the books. I think they're, and need to be fixed. But at the end of the day, he was really correct when he said, hey, listen, you got a law as it relates to, border security and, keeping our borders safe. And everybody's kind of just, kind of taking a blind eye to it and just, continue to let things slide as they are. Right. Because if we can't, here's the thing, if you can't secure your borders today, I don't care what legislation you pass tomorrow, the same problem's going to hold true. That's just a matter of, it's just what it is. One of the things I've learned, being in law enforcement is you can pass all the laws you want. If you don't have good enforcement practices,
right.
Follow up on the laws that you currently have in place, and any new law is going to be really just, it's just window dressing because it doesn't affect or change anything.
Yeah, the enforcement is always a question whenever there's an issue that is brought up.
And do you need to have a way, to have a legal system for folks to, work in this country that come from other countries? Absolutely. I mean, we see that in the agricultural business and in the restaurants and hotels and all those things. So you need to have a legal way to have folks so you can, pick the crops that you need to pick in the fields, whether it's tomatoes or oranges. You got to have those people to do that, and Americans, won't do it. So that's part of the problem too, and that's part of the.
Yeah, and there was that story of Detroit where they were trying to recruit specifically for their city immigrants. Congressman, we have the phones lit up, so let's take a couple of these calls.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being patient. You're on there with Congressman Rich Nugent.
Good morning. Good morning. I have a question and two propositions. The first question to the Congressman is, on this privacy issue, in addition to the NSA and governmental privacy, is there anything done about commercial and business privacy in our protection against big business and our constant surveillance that we receive for all kinds of purposes, and not just the governmental but big business intervention in our lives and 24/7 surveillance that we are subject to, consumer, and the other
when you say big,
that may entail.
Yeah, one point is clarify. When you say big business,
if I may
you mean
include the other two propositions?
Okay.
There's probably something not in the books already, but it could be very simple. I don't know if you're aware that people that receive Social Security, disabled people, are unable and not allowed to have life insurance. So if I'm disabled, if something happened to me, I am not allowed, period, to have life insurance to cover my wife, no matter how healthy I am. Even though my disability has nothing to do with my health, I'm perfectly healthy and runner and everything, I am not allowed to have a life insurance. And that is something seems kind of very blatant discrimination and equality, and being a husband and all. And finally, the people with Social Security, resist Social Security, will they ever be entitled to make or receive as much as minimum wage, or even catch that? Because everybody goes on about the minimum wage isn't adequate, but even right now, the minimum wage is still above what many people on disability are receiving, and the only thing that they can receive is their Social Security. I mean, it's not even the current minimum wage, let alone the proposed minimum wage that they're trying to increase. Those are the two proposals, and that's all I'm going to have to say. I'll be on the phone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was trying to get a clarification from when he talked about big business. I'm not sure what he meant, other than, what you see in regards to Google and Facebook and others that, and obviously other big business that can track your, by putting cookies on your computer, track, where you go and what you do and the types of advertisements you look at, because you see that on your every time you go to your website, you'll see that, all of a sudden you see, geez, why is that ad keep coming up? Well, it's because one time you went and looked at, a vacation thing or something like that. The thing on disability, having disability insurance, or through Social Security disability, and not allowing you to get life insurance on his spouse. I'm not clear on that. Was he meaning life insurance on himself to pay, in case of his death? So I'm not clear on that. But what he can do is, we'll certainly, if we can get him to email us or send us something, or you can make a phone call up to DC. We'll try to answer all those questions for him, because I don't have that information on my fingertips. So, but we need to clarify what he means so we can answer the questions.
Okay. And you do have another phone call. And again, I will invite everybody, if you would like to speak to Congressman Nugent, this is a good time to call, 622-9622. And it is a live show on January 27th, 2014. Good morning. You're on. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What I want to do is just give everybody the number to call up in D.C. It's 202. Yeah, it's 202-225-1002. And for questions, you can certainly call up there, and we'll respond to you in writing, and or I'll respond to you in writing once we hear the question. So.
Okay, excellent. All right, good morning. Thank you for waiting. You're on the air with Congressman Nugent.
Yes, Congressman Nugent. Good morning. Regarding the illegal alien and that whole issue, I just want to very quickly say, 9/11 and those individuals. Major Nadal Hassan, who mowed down numerous of our military people on the property of the military
Right.
What is it called? The station there, the base. The Russian who was just picked up with weapons of mass destruction. The Sarnoff brothers, the Boston terror bombings at the Marathon. The individuals who were found trespassing on the reservoir watershed in New Jersey, and then also the one that was found stuck in the pipe that they got out, which has been buried in the so-called quote-unquote media. Not. So these circumstances and situations alone should be screaming examples of why we need to bring security to this country, because many of us are in total fear, and it's just a matter of time. If it doesn't totally change, if there's not a total paradigm shift to get back to what we're supposed to be in this country, because I thought the main reason for the president was for the safety and security of American citizens, and God, I don't see it, and many of us don't see it. And I'll hang up, and I guess you can hear the frustration and downright anger and fear in my voice. And I appreciate you commenting, and thank you very much. And please continue to do whatever you can. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the call.
Well, and you hear the frustration. And this is part of securing our border. And one of the things that, we have people that, the majority of, or a large amount of those that are here illegally have overstayed their visas. And there's really no scrutiny. There's no follow-up. There's no tracking them down and deporting those folks. They just, the government turns a blind eye to it again. And in most of these instances, that's exactly where we fall when we start to have terrorist events here in this country. All this metadata collection, and I've sat through all the classified briefings, have absolutely not kept us any safer. None of them have preempted any attack. Were they used after the fact to maybe dig up, some background on the bombers, let's say, in Boston? Yeah, but it was after the fact, which could have been gotten with a search warrant. You didn't need to have a metadata collection like that. And so, people think that makes them safer. It doesn't. What really makes them safer is that this federal government and the Attorney General's office, actually enforce laws that are out there, follow up on those that have overstayed their visas, whether a student visa, work visa, whatever it may be, because why are they staying under the radar? There's no reason for it if they're here, I think, for legitimate purposes. And maybe they are, and they just overstayed it. Well, then, we need to fix the system to allow them to still become or stay productive, adding to our society here.
Yeah. Now, tomorrow, just in the last few minutes, tomorrow is the State of the Union address, and so hopefully we'll be able to hear from you next time you're on and give us your thoughts on it.
We certainly will. We'll be there in the audience tomorrow night for the State of the Union, and we'd be glad to comment on what at least my impression and takeaway was of the State of the Union tomorrow night.
Is the food stamp issue a big issue in what you're doing? The news, I'm never really sure if I'm reading something that's exaggerated or not. Is there a big push to reduce the amount of money that's available for food stamp recipients? It says $4 billion is what it says.
Yeah, there was. I mean, that was part of the budget, the appropriations bill that was passed, out of the Senate and the House. So there was a reduction in food stamps, but you got to remember that the food stamps, it was an emergency increase 6-7 years ago, and now it's with people going back to work, it is reducing some of the dollars, and some of it has to do with states because states made the qualifications much lower to get people on food stamps, and so it's forcing the states to be a little more accountable in regards to what they're doing. Just not free. That's taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, I guess the editorialists are basically saying that's going to be a big issue in the president's, I don't know how they know, but in his speech, as well as the minimum wage issue. And in both stories, they don't. It's definitely a down tone toward the Republicans in Congress.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's one of the things, and I believe in states' rights, and the minimum wage issue has historically been taken care of through the states. I think there's 30-plus states that have raised the minimum wage over what the federal guideline is.
Yeah.
States are obviously have the ability to raise the minimum wage to whatever amount they want to do, whatever will work within their state. And so when the federal government does, one size fits all, I think that's, the president's idea is that, the federal government knows best and the federal government can, incur its will on people and really override states' rights. And so, at the end of the day, I that the states are in a much better position to increase the minimum wage if that's what needs to be done within their state.
Yeah, and in a city like San Francisco, which I think I read is the highest minimum wage, and in that case, I don't know what they're doing, but it seems like they've got a wage really high, $13, I think, and yet the people who live there are still having trouble.
Of course. Once again, this is just certain people feel that the federal government can solve all ills. And the end of the day, it's just not true. The federal government can make it worse. It can make it better by sometimes backing away. Really watching a documentary last night when Lyndon Johnson started the Great Society. That was back in the 60s. And has it gotten better after everything that he's done or put in place and the amount of money we spent? It doesn't seem like it's gotten any better. So, we keep trying to use the same model and hoping for different results by doing the same thing, and it hasn't happened. So, there's been some minor attempts, under Clinton to revamp some of that, but they were minor attempts. They were successful, but it seems like we want to, whoever wants to talk about it is the villain because, the Democrats will turn it to say that we just don't care. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. We truly believe that the best medicine for this country is, having job creators create jobs, and I'll stand by that.
Yeah, there you go. Congressman, thank you for taking time out of your day to speak to us and to this listening audience. The phone number for Congressman Nugent is 202-225-1002. And thank you for what you do.
Thanks. I appreciate it. You have a great week.
Thank you. We will take a little break, and we'll be right back.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
ABC News Now, I'm Joan Bennett. With yet another Arctic blast gripping much